This is the John Hallett Podcast, powered by ClearSky.Training, where we break down what actually works in real-world self-defense and why most people get it wrong. If you're training with us in Castle Rock, Colorado, this is the thinking behind what we do at Rocky Mountain Self-Defense and Fitness. And if you're an instructor or gym owner, this is where we talk about building better training and better systems. All right, let's get into this one, Josh. Why you freeze in a fight and how to fix it.
What's happened to me?
You know,
Yeah.
You probably thought about it before.
Mhm.
It's happened to you before. What do I do if something actually happens and I don't know what to do? I mean, we get those calls all the time. I got confronted with this guy, and actually that guy never walked back in the gym. Remember that guy?
Yeah,
He was like,
I
oh
do.
man,
I
something
felt
happened in
bad
front of
for
my
him.
family and I didn't know what to do. I froze up. And you know,
It's normal.
it happens.
Yeah.
And then in that situation, you have nothing. You have nothing.
Right.
Your brain shuts down. You know, some people think they're going to run. You know, a lot of people like, oh, I'm going to fight him. I know exactly what to do. I got in a fight in third grade.
Yeah. So that translates to being an adult, obviously.
Yeah. You know, but a lot of people freeze. It's the whole
Yeah.
deer in the headlights thing.
I've been there.
You don't know what to do or say. Like you're caught by something unexpected. You know, freezing isn't weakness. It's an untrained response.
That's great. It makes a lot of sense. You don't know what you don't know.
No, you
Yeah.
don't. You don't know
Yeah.
till you get in that situation.
Sure. So why do people freeze in a fight then?
You know, because your brain just gets overwhelmed. You know, without
Yeah.
training, it defaults to doing nothing. And if you don't have something, even like, okay, somebody's in front of me and they're aggressive and I run. You got to actually train these things. You know, that's why little kids do fire drills. So they're practicing what to do in that situation.
Sure.
Now, I always say fire drills would be better if there was some actual fire. But
Slow down, Tiger. That
hey,
sounds
we're getting
dangerous.
there. They could throw those kids on some, what are those, the VR goggles? And
Yeah.
You could, you know, get people. That would be way better training.
VR trauma. But it would work. Like
it would
it'd
be way
interesting.
better.
Yeah.
So, you know, when something happens fast, your body doesn't ask for permission. It reacts.
Yeah.
You know, your heart rate's going to spike.
Mhm.
Your vision narrows. You know, hearing changes. Time feels off.
Yeah.
You know, this is your survival system. Your body's going into automatic response. You know, the problem, most people have never trained
Yeah.
doing this type of thing.
Okay.
And then they shut down, somebody yelling at them and they shut down and freeze.
I've seen that.
You know, and hearing. I mean, people forget about that.
Right.
Like run, move.
Right.
And people aren't even hearing that their friend might be saying, get out of there.
Yeah.
He's going to hit you.
In my early days with you, it happened to me. So what actually happens in your body under stress? Because I remember almost feeling embarrassed the first time it happened. And that was me personally. I was like, why didn't I do something?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, what time? What drill was that?
Oh, this is very early on. This is like the second or third time I'm just training with you. And then I stop and you're like, just don't stop. Because I got stuck. I didn't know what to do. And I think you really started yelling at me. And it was just very early on. And I just hadn't seen it, hadn't heard it.
Yeah,
and then
probably saying like, do something.
Yeah,
just punch.
that's what you
do
were
something,
saying. Do something.
Do something.
Yeah.
Move. Do
Right.
anything. You know, your brain shifts from thinking to surviving.
Yeah.
And complex decision making starts to break down really fast. People think they know what they're going to do, and they have a plan, and a little bit of stress. Yeah,
Till once
it's gone.
Punched in the mouth and different plan.
Yeah, as soon as you get hit, you know. So, you know, your technique disappears. This is where people get surprised. They've practiced, you know, they've done the drills. They know what to do. That's what I say all the time, right?
I know what to do.
I know.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And then nothing.
Yeah.
Right. Because under stress, fine motor skills drop, complex sequences fail. That's what, like, keep it simple. Some martial arts systems try to make things way too complicated. Some, you know, things that you just got to train and train and train.
Like
and
a
that's
distracting back
great.
fist.
Well,
It's so hard.
Distracting back fist. Things are more like complex, you know, knife takeaways I've seen people do to, you know, a complex, you know, BJJ move that's going to take, you know, 5 or 6 steps. That's going to be really hard under stress.
Sure.
You know, Memory retrieval slows down. If your training is too complex, it's not going to show up when you need it. Like I always say, people like, I'm going to do this and that. That seems really complicated.
Yeah.
How about just getting one simple thing done in a situation?
Right. Just enough to try to get home.
People try to think, when you're sitting there thinking about it, it's really easy. You can come up with all sorts of things that you could try to do.
Right.
But it's a whole different thing with somebody screaming in your face or, being charged at with a knife.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing.
It does. And it just leads me to more questions, because why doesn't regular training prepare you for real situations?
Most training is done calm, and real situations are not calm.
Yeah.
That's where even people trying to get them out of the beginner stage of learning a technique and learning how to train, to getting out of that beginner mindset and going, okay, you got to give your partner a stress response. You got to challenge them in their technique, and it doesn't have to start fast and aggressive where people are going to get hurt, because those even, end of beginner to intermediate stages, they still lack a lot of body awareness and control and, even just mental regulation of calming themselves down.
And I found that even little incremental stresses are hard enough to deal with, let alone a lot of big ones.
Like way too much. That's even learning how to be the attacker. That takes a lot of training, and that's like, we're trying to set people how to train, and that's it's not. There's a lot to it. If you're going to think about being a complete self-defense and fighting system, there's a lot to it to have good quality training.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot. You got to train more.
You got to do it more, and you got to train a lot. I mean, do it. Train as much as you can.
There's a big gap between training and reality. Most training looks like controlled, predictable, cooperative. That's not reality. Real situations are fast, uncertain, and emotional. One thing. Even, we've talked about before, like I might just start egging somebody on, being down on the ground, covering up, and they're winning the fight, and they could disengage, and you're like, you suck.
Oh my! And like, that regulation is not,
and just they should be getting away, and things shift. If you've never trained under pressure, your brain doesn't recognize the situation, so it pauses. It's really tough, guys.
Pausing now.
You're pausing?
I'm pausing now. I'm thinking about it.
Listen, if you're a gym owner or instructor listening to this and you're seeing gaps in your own program or how you're teaching, you're not alone. Most schools were never shown how to build this the right way. That's exactly what we do inside ClearSky.Training: structure, systems, and raising the standard. That's we're always, I always say I suck. Like, I'm just trying to get better, try to be better. And when you think you're awesome, that's when you're letting your guard down.
Yeah. So you've been working on this thing a lot, and you've got these color zones that you've been working on. So how do those color zones actually apply in a real situation? Because this stuff's cool. I like where your mind is at.
So in our situation awareness zones, blue, calm; green, right, you're starting to be in an action zone. Yellow is a combat zone. Red, all right, is the danger. You're in clinch zone.
Sure.
Right? And black is post-incident. We delve into those a lot more in class and in the ClearSky.Training modules. It's all in there, but it gives somebody a basic awareness. Like, all right, I'm in blue zone. That should be me walking around day to day. Right? Green, somebody a little sketchy. They're moving closer. All right, I'm in, a combat zone here. This could be a fight really quickly. Red, obviously, you're in it. And then we have our black post-incident. And that's another huge thing we'll talk about in another podcast at some point.
Super important.
Most people, think they're going to be moving through these awareness levels, no problem. but they get shocked at all of a sudden they're in the red zone.
Yeah.
They didn't realize how quick these transitions happen. All right. There's no recognition. They have no preparation in their training for those distances. And that's why freezing happens. If you can't recognize the moment early, you lose your chance to act.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Yeah. So how do you actually fix the freeze responses then? Like if I'm training, like what do I need to do?
You train your body, or you train your mind and your body to operate under controlled stress before it matters.
Okay.
Different training drills that you're in there, even sometimes physical fatigue drills mixed with a self-defense situation where you get your body, get your heart rate up and be able to train in that zone where you think like it was going to be no problem. People are like, oh my gosh, I was gassed. Not even
I
just
know, right?
The whole, the bottom of our pyramid is that base layer of fitness. Because if, your fitness fails, everything else is coming crumbling down.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. But, we see that in different drills. So you have to train it. You have, tons of different drills that you can do to build people up. And it all starts slow and easy. It's stuff you can do with beginners, but you want to just keep it slow and, something less is more.
Yeah.
Training the right way, right, is the big difference. You don't eliminate stress. You get used to it, pressure drills, decision-making under fatigue, scenario training.
Love it.
Right. And controlled unpredictability. That is, I love all of them, but the unpredictability, adding in drills that just could be simple of, hey, you're going to punch and kick a pad, move away because, you stopped the threat, right? And then that attacker could come back at you with 1, 2, 3 things. You could build those up in class. One of them, they might just be approaching you, yelling at you. What are you going to do in that situation?
And that's the stress.
They're swinging at you with a crazy haymaker. Maybe they come back holding that pad and it's a clear, this is a threat and you have to kick the pad, get them away.
Sure.
All these things just build up over time.
And I love the uncomfortableness of it and the unpredictability, because that's where it's really going to show up, and you're going to find yourself going to it. And I'd rather see that stress, Jim.
Yeah.
In the real world.
It's messy. I love failure. A lot of times people don't like it, but it builds something most training doesn't. Confidence that holds up under pressure. Yeah. Right? Failing is fantastic. So many training drill, it's just set up to succeed every single time. And the messiness, that's what's great about it. I love those ones like that. It gets unpredictable and it gets a little messy on what to do. So train more, more. It's like, I think we were just practicing a technique yesterday, and you just in your head got all ramped up. And I'm like, what were you doing? Like, you kind of brought the knife up and over your head, something, and you're like, I don't know, I just do it. I'm like, wait for it. Like, I was going slow on you, Josh. Like, wait for the pressure. You had good control, and you just like looking for something to do. You just try to make something work instead of just being calm in that slow, hey, we're just drilling. We're just trying to get reps on something that you're really new at, but your mind raced. And that's like just being able to do it in a drill when there is no life or death scenario. But you can see how your mind got like, I can get it.
And from my perspective, I'm like, I thought I'm going slow. I'm trying to go slow. And I'm also trying to work out which way to take the knife. There were so many things I was trying to do instead of just letting stuff happen too.
Yeah, trying.
But I tried a bunch, the next time. So I'll do it again.
No mind. Just don't think. Freezing doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're unprepared for the moment. And that's fixable. But it's not through more techniques. It's through better training. Because under stress, you don't rise, you default. If your training has never put you under pressure, you should question it, because knowing what to do isn't enough. You have to be able to do it when it actually matters. That's what we focus on at ClearSky.Training. If you want to go deeper on real-world self-defense, decision-making under stress, and responsible firearms training, everything we teach lives at ClearSky.Training. Clear Sky is where we break down the thinking behind self-defense, awareness, avoidance, judgment, legality, and decisive action when violence can't be avoided. If you're an instructor or gym owner, this is where we also help you build systems, structure your training, and raise your standard. If you're in Castle Rock, Colorado, and want hands-on training, that philosophy is put into practice at Rocky Mountain Self-Defense and Fitness. Thanks for listening to the John Hallett Podcast. Train more and suck less.